All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Network. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, Corey Pieper, covering some waivers for Week 12. What's going on, man?
Not much here. Another good week down. We are getting super close to the fantasy playoffs and trying to lock up some pretty decent seeds in some leagues. Some leagues are a struggle, but can't complain too much this year. How's your year been for the fantasy stuff?
Hit or miss.
Yeah.
Couple leagues got decimated by injuries, and you can draft and be the smartest guy in the room. Not that I say I am, but even if you are,
Don't be modest.
when you get hit by 5 or 6 injuries to some of your top guys, there's not a whole lot you're gonna do. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you and trade you good players back. So you just kind of have to live with it. It is what it is. Some leagues I'm right up there at the top, just fighting for bye weeks.
Hmm?
Got a couple of them locked up already, but some pretty competitive leagues that I'm in. So I'm
That's right.
right in the mix, man. Looking forward to the playoffs, and hopefully I can pull down a couple of championships. So,
That's right.
but without further ado, we got a little surprise for some folks at the end here. So stay tuned if you are an IDP player. We got Albert here. What's up, man? Always first. I love it. Love to see it. And Jamie, what's going on, man? We'll get you 2 cents about these IDP guys at the end, Jamie.
That's
You're
right.
more in on this stuff than me. So, all right, let's jump into your first one, Corey. Anthony Richardson, and I threw a whole gamut of stats here. I threw his whole year because this really tells the whole story of Anthony Richardson, in my opinion. And this is what it comes down to. But you've got the floor, man. Tell us what you think about this guy.
It's the ultimate boom bust pickup, but I'll tell it like this. If you don't add him in your league, if he's available, someone is. At this point,
Mm-hmm.
someone's going to add him. It was one game. 10 days ago, this would never have happened. Yeah, I thought he was benched. But it was arguably the best passing game of his career. So he completed 2/3 of his passes. You have it circled down there. I can see it. It's the
Yes.
first time that he's finished a game and he's completed 2/3 of his passes, where he's actually started and finished a full game. First time, 272 yards passing and a touchdown there, and then the 32 rushing yards and the 2 more touchdowns. And this is why he was taken as a top 10 quarterback. It's week 1, he showed it. He's week 11, he showed it here. It's just be okay as a passer. I don't need you to be good. I just need you to
Right.
be competent as a passer. And with his rushing upside, he scored 30 points, right? It's a top 5 finish. That's 2 we've seen this year. Next is the Lions. Do I want to start him in the matchup? No, but I really want to have him at bench if I can, because if he's good, this is a player that people's taken. I put it in the article. Fantasy Six Packs ADP had him as like, I think 57th overall. That's a top 6 round pick. So you're not finding that type of upside on the waiver wire with starting quarterbacks.
No.
It's a down. If Anthony Richardson's going to play, it's a down year for Jonathan Taylor. I'll say that because he's going to take the touchdowns from him.
Yeah, he does.
So
Yeah.
that's something you have to keep in mind here. Add him because you're simply not going to find a quarterback with that type of upside on the waiver wire. And do I want to start him? No, but if he does it again, I'd love to have that on my bench and
Yeah.
as an option.
So I drafted in the Fantasy Six Pack OG League. I call it the OG League. I don't know why I call that, but it's been going on for a while. It was back before when we had like 5 writers, right? And so we started a league with some people who read our content and stuff like that. It's been going. A lot of the same dudes actually from the very beginning are still in that league. So very aggressive league. You've got to go for it if you want to win this league. Like you almost can't draft safe. Not all the way through. So going through, people are starting to take some quarterbacks, and I went, you know what? Screw it. I'm getting me some Anthony Richardson. Ooh, that didn't work out early on. Thankfully, picked up Darnold, threw him in there. I've been riding him the rest of the season so far. He's been good, so I'm happy with it. But I ended up dropping Anthony Richardson. John LaPresto picked him up like the week I dropped him, and then that was the week he got benched.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he was getting benched, obviously, before I dropped him. But I was just like, you know what? I'm out. I can't do it anymore. He's completing like 44% of his passes. So, yeah, I've got a circle there. He completed, 2/3 of his passes, like you said. I have the fact that he didn't throw an interception. And ran for 2 touchdowns first time all season. So a lot of things going in his favor. I'll say this, man, like, a lot of people are going to go, oh, and he did it against the Jets. Careful. The post Robert Saleh New York Jets defense is awful. They are just bad now. So I think I read something that they allow one of the highest expected yards per play or points per play or something like that. The EPA or whatever it is. I don't know why I'm blanking on what that means right now, but then like I think they're right up there with like the worst defense in the league over the last like 5 or 6 weeks. So
It's a disaster in New York. That's a terrible team to watch, man.
Oh god, it's so bad. But of course, I win against Brees Hall in 2 leagues this week. So yeah, naturally, right? That's how my week went. You asked
Only
me
guy
my
that
season.
showed up.
Yeah, you asked me how my season went, not my week. I did. Just thankfully, I didn't go against Taysom Hill. My daughter did. I was like, oh yeah,
Sorry.
you
You just got to take the L there. There's nothing
that's
you can do
okay.
about that.
She's pretty much locked up the first seed, so she's not crying. So yeah. Next up here, Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. It's a Green Bay Packers receiver, but all right, have at it.
It's a Green Bay Packers receiver, but I think we're down to 3. I think we've cut out. I think Dontayvion Wicks, we've said, is gone because I got this. The Packers only had 46 offensive snaps on Sunday because the Bears dominated time of possession in that game. The Packers actually went up and down the field pretty quickly. So 46 snaps. Dubs took 36, so that's 78%. He caught the very first play of the game. I think he caught like a 17-yard pass, and I don't believe he got another target, which is weird. Christian Watson was second, 31 snaps, so that's 67%. Jaden Reed only 26 snaps, 56%. So before we got in here, we were talking about Jaden Reed. I'm a little worried. Like if you're a Jaden Reed person, that's scary. But Dontayvion Wicks is down at 16%. So he is, 16 snaps, 33%. So he is all but eliminated from this rotation at this point. Could it go back up? Yeah, it was higher earlier in the year, but at least what it's trending the way now, it looks like this is becoming more of a 3-man show instead of the 4-man show. And Watson made the most of his opportunities. So you got it there. He caught all 4 of his targets. 2 of them were long. In the second half, he caught a 40-ish yard pass in double coverage on a kind of a thrown ball. And then he ran away from his cornerback, caught a diving ball, and got up and ran for a 60-yarder. But that's what he can do, right? He's extremely fast. He can stretch the field for him. The 150 yards were the career high. It's his first 100-yard game since 2022. The Christian Watson experience involves trying to stay healthy. That's so far been pretty good this year. He's missed 1 game with injury, and that was not the hamstring. That's what's plagued him in the past. Now we're going to talk about another one in a little bit. We talked about last week again. It's a little bit of the MVS thing, right? Christian Watson's ADOT is 17 yards, but I trust the Packers passing offense more than I trust the Saints. So if I'm prioritizing him, it's tough because I also like MVS as the top target in his offense.
He's getting it's not great, but he is. But I think the number 1, I guess.
Yeah, I think in either case, though,
Hill.
We're about to have 6 teams go on bye this week and next week. I'm fine if I need a number 3 receiver to fill a spot. I'm fine taking a shot at Christian Watson at this point. I'd take him over Dubs and the Packers.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you're talking about like I'm looking back at the last 4 weeks right now of like the usage and targets and things like that. It's up and down with every single one of these guys, and it's just it takes me back to something that when we did the Packers preseason training camp check-in, me and Dylan did those. We asked like, who is the guy, and he goes, it's somebody different every week or every day. And I mean, there you go. Like I'm looking at this right now. This isn't snaps, this is routes, but routes run for Jaden Reed, 84%, 67%, 77%, 60%. Up and down, right? Dobbs, 86, 97, 85, 90. That's actually the highest, right? So he's kind of locked in, but he's not always like the top performer. Wicks, you're saying, right? 46, 30, 49, 30.
Yeah.
Christian Watson, 51, 77, 62, 75. So he's
Maybe there is no rhyme or reason to it.
It's really not, man. But then, like, you look at targets. Like, if you're looking at percentage, right? Jaden Reed got his normal 12, 13% of targets. They just didn't pass the ball a lot this game.
No, I think they only threw it 17 times or something like that.
Yeah, so that's, nobody saw a bunch of targets. So it's hard to take a lot away from this game. I still like Jaden Reed more, but I'm not comfortable like using him over. If you've gotten this far in your league and you've got Jaden Reed, and you thought he was going to be one of your guys, I'm guessing you've got some other guys who have gotten you here, and you're going to rely on them more than Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is becoming kind of like a wide receiver, almost a wide receiver 3, in my opinion, in fantasy. But you watch, we say that he's going to go off for like 3 touchdowns next week.
He did it that very first. I remember that very first week. He led I think he was top fantasy scorer, and everybody was like, "Oh, we're in." And I'm like,
right.
It was Jaden Reed and it was Xavier Worthy on like 2 targets, and I'm like, yeah,
right.
I don't think so. Really, I really don't think this is how it's going to go. And
although Xavier Worthy had himself a day. So,
finally, he got some targets. Finally,
and Noah Gray.
And yeah, thanks.
Right.
As a guy with much Travis Kelce, that was awesome. Loved watching Noah Gray catch 2 touchdowns.
All right. Speaking of Marquez, Valdes-Scantling, 2 games in a row, big play guy. I mean,
second in PPR scoring last week. We went over that last week. You got the top line there. And then he's 20th this week. Is it 2 targets? It's 2 targets. But we were talking, you mentioned Taysom Hill. A lot of this is they were dominated that game with Taysom Hill. So they also very rarely threw the ball. But you got the 2 games there. 7 targets. His ADOT is 23.8 with the Saints. That is, he had 4 week 1 because he caught 1 pass. Since then, a 30 and a 23. That is just showing you what he's really doing. He's just running down the field and they're throwing it to him. And if he catches one of those, that's a 7-point play. Even if he doesn't score, if he scores, that's a 14, 15-point play. That is what you're getting out of MVS. The league leader in ADOT is 16.9, which is Calvin Ridley, who actually do not think of as at least among players with 50 targets. You do not think of him as a down the field guy. But MVS, that's what you're doing. They are on a bye this week, so unfortunately you cannot play him. But after that, Los Angeles, the Rams, I'm fine with playing him in that matchup if I need somebody. There's 6 teams on bye the following week, and then they follow that up with the Giants. So is it trustworthy? Not exactly. If I need a blow-up opportunity, am I going to MVS? He's shown it 2 weeks in a row here. Since his 2 weeks with the Saints, he could be a top 20 wide receiver.
Yeah, I saw. I can't find the tweet right now. That's what I'm looking around for. But it's pretty funny. Somebody posted like his stat line and like how many carries and how many targets and all this kind of stuff he got at Taysom Hill, and they were like, it was he had this many snaps at this position, this many snaps at this position, this many snaps at this position, and it's like he even had like defensive and special team snaps, and it's like, what position do you play? I play football. It's like, yeah, pretty much.
That's what he does.
So yeah, we're it made me laugh, but it also makes me cry because I have lots of Kamara. So anyway, let's move on here to our next one, and we got Roschon Johnson, Jamie Perogue in the house here, his favorite player. Why do we like some Roschon?
I think this is more of a split than we want to admit here because, so earlier in the week, the Bears fire their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. They made a replacement, and they were in a stretch of epic ineptitude. I think it was 22 straight drives they had not scored a touchdown. Yesterday, Swift takes 41 snaps. Roschon got 30. You got him there. That's the actual stats. The 10 carries, 33 yards, and a touchdown. The 1 catch for 8. I think just because he didn't get down to the goal line area, I think Roschon Johnson is the goal line back here in Chicago, and he's also the 3rd down back. Yeah, he got both of them inside the 5. Swift had 1. He got 4 inside the 20 to Swift's 1. Now, that's a little weird. He got all the 3rd down work. He got, I think, most of the passing down work. Those are the high value touches. Like Swift had a long 41, 42 yard touchdown run. And it's, once again, I still want DeAndre Swift, but
yeah,
I think there's more here for Roschon Johnson than we've really appreciated. He has 5 rushing touchdowns from inside the 5 yard line this year. When they get down there, it's, as I said, it's just been rare that it's happened, but when they get down there, they want to give the ball to Roschon, it seems like, and he's been successful. He's had 7 carries. He scored 5 touchdowns inside the 5. And if you're giving me passing work too, that's interesting. And that's the other part of this. So Jamie has it right there. Johnson and Swift combined for 27 touches. The new offensive coordinator comes in. I believe it's Brown. I think it's Thomas, but says he wants to simplify this offense for Caleb Williams. Yesterday was the best Caleb Williams looked. And what did they do? They had him running a little more, and they got the ball out of his hands in a hurry, gave the ball to the running backs. I watched that game. The Bears looked as good as they've looked in a long time, and I think we're going to see more carries for both these guys.
They almost won a game against a very good Green Bay Packers. I mean, I don't know if you saw the news that the Bears are like, they put in a petition against the NFL about, like, I guess they were saying Green Bay like went over the snapper.
Is that ever?
Never get it. No, I guarantee it's not going to. But they got to do what they got to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on here to our next up. Oh, where'd I go? Wrong way. All right, Kendrick Bourne. Can I say something about Kendrick Bourne real quick?
You called him out first. You can say whatever you want, man.
Yeah. So really funny. So like I've been kind of talking up Bourne in the usage article.
I know
for a few weeks, right? Saying, hey, he's arguably their best receiver when he's healthy, right? I mean, he was awesome last year, right? I know they brought in a bunch of new guys. They got some young talent. I get it, right? And we saw it steadily increasing. And I stashed him on my bench in a couple of leagues. And you saw week 9 was good. If you're looking at these box scores for him, I didn't just not put in week 10. He didn't get a snap in week 10. Which was like, excuse me? And so I wrote in the usage article this past week, I said, somehow Kendrick Bourne didn't get a single snap. I don't get it. Well, apparently the Patriots didn't get it either because they got him back on the field and he had his best game of the season. So I'm back in.
You were talking it up. I know a month or so ago, we talked one of these nights, and I don't know if it was on air or off air. You're like, don't forget Kendrick Bourne, and you've been right. And I mentioned that type of stuff in the article. Look, could I have Joe Strode about Demario Douglas again? Because was he awesome yet again? I absolutely could have. Because once again, he was awesome, and he is still under owned. But I wanted to talk about someone new, and so just look on the other side. You got it right there. I thought after week 9 we were in too. Then I think they said he was benched for some younger stuff, some younger players. I know they released Tyquan Thornton this week, who I saw signed with the Chiefs today. But
practice squad.
Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, and Keyshawn Boutte. I know that people want to say that the Patriots need receivers badly, and could they use a star out there? Absolutely. Yeah. But they are all not bad receivers. Like, there is an NFL career ahead for all 3 of those guys from what I've seen here. And
Bourne's a little older, so
he's a little older, but he's available everywhere. He is 1% rostered on Yahoo. There's no way that he should be 1% rostered. Yeah. Those are 2 of the most under-rostered. Him and Demario Douglas are 2 of the most under-rostered players in every league out there.
It's the offense is no good factor, and I get it.
They throw the ball because they're down, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they are chucking the ball. Drake May's good enough that these 2 can carry fantasy value. They have
This is wild to me, though. Like, listen to these snap counts for week 11. Demario Douglas, 43. Kendrick Bourne, 36. Jalen Polk, 31. Keyshawn Boutte, 73. What?
That is wild.
I didn't even know they ran 73 plays. Like, holy cow. They're running a bunch of they got to be running a bunch of 2 tight end sets, right? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Henry's on the field 67, Hooper's on the field 39 plays. I guess I don't know. They're just wild to me to see that. So
that is nuts.
I'm sure there'll always be talking as long as Jamie's. Yep, correct, Kyle. All right, Kendrick Bourne's a guy who, I mean, he's not winning you your league, but man, especially with these bye weeks coming up,
plug him and play him.
You're gonna find a lot worse out there. I guarantee it. He's good. They definitely tried to get him involved on purpose. You could tell. So, Ameer Abdullah. This is there wasn't really a whole lot out here. Basically, the headline is these 2 guys are injured. That was kind of the headline. So
I get it. Ameer Abdullah has not been good. I'm not going to sit and sugarcoat this and
he
say Ameer
scored.
Abdullah. He did score. He did score. That's true. He did score. But
Also
it's an
score.
opportunity. And I'm just talking, we're going to be
Yep.
missing 6 running backs this week. I'm going to be missing 6 of them. And then the next week, we're going to miss 6 of them. But Zamir White played 22 snaps before the quad injury got him in the third quarter. His sounds, they have not, as far as I know, they have not said officially what's wrong, but it sounded less severe. Madison sounded pretty severe. That was the fourth quarter. He had played 20 snaps at that point, and then they ruled him out pretty quick. So I do not expect to see Alexander Madison. If Madison misses and Zamir White is active, this could be Zamir White, because I do think he'll get the carries on first and second down. But Ameer Abdullah already has his role on this team, and that's pass catching back. So if he's pass catching back plus running back, that's when at least I start to get interested in this. And at some point, if both of them are inactive, I think we'll see Dylan Lobby, who was the rookie, who actually was pretty good when I was doing the preseason notebook.
Mark
back
Strasburg threw him in the rookie, or like the rookie stashes, or rookie like deep stashes or whatever. I think
it's a good one. He was good. When I was writing the preseason notebook, I remember thinking, "Oh, this dude." It was him, Sean Tucker, and Bucky Irving. That I kept thinking, like, "Wow, these guys are playing pretty well out here." So I think we'll see him active if everybody's inactive. And he was a prolific pass catcher at, I think it was New Hampshire or Delaware. I forget where he went to college. And so I think maybe he takes some of the passing work, but that means Ameer Abdullah gets carries here. And any starting running back who I feel confident is giving me 15 to 20 touches, which I think he'll get. Now, is it going to be, the Raiders are also a very rough team to watch. It's not pretty to watch most of the time. 15 to 20 touches, though, when 6 teams are on bye, you can do worse. You can absolutely do worse in a flex role.
Yep. Kyle's talking about his article this week, goal line guide for week 12. Raiders passing game is in a good situation. So there you go. Fire up some Jacoby Myers. So, all right. Now here's the little change up this week. So Steve Hungarter, IDP Hunter, was supposed to join us this week, but he's feeling a little under the weather. We were gonna go through his top 6 IDP waivers, but just to give you guys a little preview. Now, I'm not a big IDP guy. I kind of know who some of these players are. I've got his article. You play in IDP, Corey, so you can speak a little bit to these guys. But start off here with Odafe Oweh, a guy who he says, and I'm kind of just paraphrasing his thing. He was one of the breakout candidates this offseason for the S6P IDP crew here, and it's finally starting to come together. And you can see the last few games here. He's got 10 total tackles, and he's got a really high pressure rate apparently. So you finally are seeing that come to fruition, right? 4 QB hits in each of the last 2 games, and this past week against Pittsburgh, he got 3 sacks. That's massive. So it seems like he's finally starting to come around in his own, and this guy apparently is only 3% rostered. So he was the DL4 in what is called 1-2-3 IDP scoring. So
I don't know. We're
good.
When Steve gets on here, we're gonna have to talk some scoring. Exactly what I believe I play in tackle heavy leagues. I'm not always sure exactly what 1-2-3 scoring and how the people explain that is.
He explained it to me one time, man. Because I did the formulas. I put together the IDP points against table that we have here on Fantasy Six Pack, and I did it for all the top 3 scoring formats. So one is, I think, tackle heavy. One's IDP 1-2-3-3. 1-2-3. Can't talk. And then the other one's I don't know. He called it Fantasy Pros scoring at one point, but I think it's whatever settings that Fantasy Pros uses in their accuracy contest, which it's called a different name, but it's also referenced as that. But there's a ton of different scoring. IDP is
it's
hard, man.
It is.
It's like points leagues in baseball. It's I don't know your points. Your points score, it is different than mine. I guarantee it. So good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
But
here's my story for Odafe Oweh.
Okay.
So going into yesterday morning, I have the team I have a Christian Ellis he qualifies at defensive line, and he plays linebacker for the Patriots, and he's questionable. And I'm like, oh man, he's not going to play. I was going to be gone in the morning. It wasn't a league where an auto sub. So I'm like, I'm just going to add a free agent here quick and see in case I can't make a sub. So I add Odafe Oweh off my bench, off the free agency at like 2%. I'm like, they're playing the Steelers. Russ is not moving all that well. Let's put him in there. I'm home at like 11:30 here. So game started at noon in Wisconsin. And I checked. I'm like, oh, Christian Ellis is active. Got to get him in there. So I took Odafe Oweh out and put him on my bench. No. I'm still going to win in that league. Thank you, Joe Mixon. I see you're having a nice night right now. That's helping me carry me to a victory there. But I do actually now have him on my bench in that league. So maybe I'll be playing him next week.
Yeah, we got a couple comments. Yeah, we got a couple comments here from so Kyle was saying he was listening to the Warren Sharp football show. Mentioned that Baltimore has one of the highest pressure rates on third down, and so it's a good situation to have an edge rusher from this team. And then Jamie pointed out that Oweh has linebacker and DL eligibility, so that's really good. From what I know about IDP leagues, is linebackers usually crush, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in tackle heavy leagues, you just rack up tackles. And so if you can get a guy who has linebacker eligibility and D-line eligibility, you're going to clean up at the D-line, right? So that's the little bit that I know here. But we're only going to do 2 of these because, like I said, I'm kind of talking out of my you-know-what when it comes to these guys. But Nick Bonitto, of the Denver Broncos, another DL linebacker, only 3% rostered. Another guy that he says somebody called out early in the year as somebody who is going to be really rising to the top here. And the big thing here, and I've got the column highlighted here, is the sacks. He's got a sack in 7 out of the last 9 games. So you're looking at a guy, especially if you get a bunch of points for sacks. I'm guessing that's pretty good. So looks like he's getting a lot of QB hits as well. So he's a guy who Steve likes a lot.
Well, I know the Denver leads the league in sacks by I think a few actually, and a lot of these players going into the year were probably on IDP waiver wires. Nick Bonitto, Jonathan Cooper has 6.5. Zach Allen, some of these players, and it's been just a lot of that is the fact that they have Patrick Surtain on one side to remove a wide receiver completely. So you have more to rush the passer. And so that's been a big part of it. But Denver's been awesome this year, man. Kind of not somebody that I expected. There's been some real teams that have come out of nowhere, and Nick Bonitto's a big part of it.
Another one too.
Chargers have come out of nowhere. Right? Arizona's better than I ever thought. Mm-hmm. So good for all these teams. Nick Bonitto, yeah, if you're looking for sacks, I mean, you're getting production there. Steve's got it, so go get him.
Yeah, so all right, well, that is it. Hopefully we get Steve in here next week and he can rip through all 6 of his guys. And but that's a little sneak peek as to what we can expect here at the end of the Waiver Wire show going forward. But that's our Week 12 waivers. Corey, thanks for jumping on with me and talking like usual. Let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
You can find me on the Twitter at COPIEPS. Looks like Cole Peeps, and I do have the blue sky set up at the Cole Peeps. I have to actually go over there and actually figure out what I'm doing and use it a little bit more. I know you're big into it already, and I just have to sit down and do it.
Basically, Twitter.
Is it okay? I got to download the app. I just
no ads. It's kind of nice. People actually talk to each other over there.
Oh wow!
I post stuff on Twitter, and it's like, hello, anybody here? It's like the John Travolta thing. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. I post something over there. It's like, boom, like
engagement. Hey, now we're talking.
I love amazing. So yeah, I'm enjoying it over there. So yeah, hit me up at F6P_Joe on the X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm over on Blue Sky as well, F6P. I left the underscore out because I didn't need it. F6P Joe dot whatever over there, and it's a long they've got to fix that though. Like that's the thing they got to fix. Like no one's gonna remember .bsky.social. I mean that's wacky, but other than that, it's good. I highly suggest anybody listening to this jumps over there. There's a lot of people now. I'm not leaving Twitter, but I know there are a lot of fantasy football people leaving Twitter. They just want nothing to do with it anymore. They are out. Whatever your opinion of it is, it's your opinion. I don't really care. I'm just letting you know if you want to hear from some of your favorites, they might be over there. So you might want to check it out. So, but that's it for the show, man. Thanks for doing it, and good luck in week 12, everyone.